Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. I am Sam Spurs for life, and this is episode number 80 of Talking Points. You may have saw my face just before the intro started. Technical difficulties which didn't start well. But anyway, make sure you like the stream, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We are going to be talking Spurs today, as it's obvious always, and I'm going to put up what we are planning to do today. But I'm also joined in the house by some others, but I'm just trying to do something in the background, and it's not going too well. But I'm going to bring in a guest anyway. So welcome to the house. We have the one known as Spurs and the one and only Sean Hull, Paxton Road regulars. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
How are we?
Okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, I avoided all social media for most of yesterday on my journey back home, 3 and a bit hours from London to get back to Nottingham. And when you lose, it could be the worst. It's the worst journey in the world. It's the worst. Can't listen to Talk Sport. Can't listen to 5 Live. Can't listen to anything. Just got to listen to my music or listen to podcasts because it's all bad. So this is what I'm trying to discuss now. Like I said, this is what's next for Spurs. I think there's some things that's going to start happening at Spurs very soon. And I wanted to have a little bit of a talk with you guys about where you think the club's at as we approach the penultimate. It is the last game. Penultimate game is on Wednesday, but then the last Premier League game is on Sunday against Leeds at home again. We saw from that performance, City was at the game. I was at the game. Sean, I know you did the reaction show afterwards, and I watched that earlier today. And it's difficult because yesterday, obviously, the emotions, you get to look at the game and you think that was a terrible result, blah, blah, blah. But the team actually played pretty well, apart from that first 20 to 30 minutes, I would say. And then there was the mistake that led to the goal 40th minute. But overall, you would look at that performance and think it was fine margins, the Dyer header off his shoulder, schoolboy stuff. Do you know what I mean? Salah for the first goal after 11 minutes, being able to turn and do a pirouette in the box and strike it at the bottom, with 3 defenders, that shouldn't really happen. Shouldn't have that much space, but he did. So there's things in there, fine margin, like I said. The Trent Alexander pushing the back of Sessegnon. Penalty was given, man was sent off in the Manchester City game. Nothing in the Spurs game. Do you know what I mean? A foot up. Who was it? You put this bloody foot right in the face of our favourite player, Sean, Mr. Lucas Moura. Again, nothing. No, not even nothing. So this is what I see. I see this as being a real sticky period. Now, what I mean by that is I think we'll get to the World Cup situation being in 4th place. I think we'll win the game against Leeds. I say that now. But then Conte's putting some pressure on the board. We need players. I'm going to start with you, Sid. How are you thinking? What do you think's next for Spurs, given the World Cup is approaching in a few weeks' time? We got one more league game to go. 15 games would have been played. Effectively, a third of the season gone, if not more. It is more for some, definitely for us, but a third for some. What do you see as next?
Well, do you know what? It can go 2 ways, can't it? If we stay up, if we win next week, it's a big if, as always, and we go into the World Cup break 4th, which you technically should have been 3rd, but you know what? You've got to give Newcastle where it's due. They're picking up points where they need to and we're not. It could work 2 ways. If we're still 4th, then him in charge, and I don't mean Conte, I mean the other one, he's not gonna really think. He's gonna probably think, you know what? I think my manager's done all right. He's kept us 4th. We're in the round 16 of the Champions League. I think that's all right. I think I'm doing well here. I've done the right appointment. Blah blah blah. Or it could go the other way, where Conte says, "Mate, I'm not doing all right. Yes, we're lucky to get in the 16. We're lucky to be 4th. We ain't played well this season. I'm getting booed off at half time because of my tactics. People, some want me out. I'm hearing players getting abused. Get your checkbook out and buy me players. If you don't buy me players, then I'm walking away with troubles in my mind, right? So it's a sticky one, man. I mean, it's a sticky one. I mean, I was there on Sunday, and we saw best of both worlds. We've seen it many times, the three of us, when we've gone there first off. You know, I'm even thinking now of turning up at half time if Spurs allow me to go in at half time.
You know what, Sid? I was leaving the stadium, and the funniest thing was there was a couple of blokes who said exactly the same thing. Walking out, I said, "This Spurs in the first half is so shit. I'll just come in the second half because we can't be 2 games in the league where we go 2-0 down. 2-0 down. Then if you take in the Marseille one, another game we conceded first. You can't win games like that all the time from 2 goals down. You can't."
Jamie O'Hara last week said it, didn't he, on a certain radio station, that we went 2-0 down against Bournemouth, but we were lucky it was Bournemouth because we come back to win that game 3-2. He's turned around and said, if we go 2-0 down at Liverpool, against Liverpool, we ain't coming back from that because teams like that aren't going to allow us to come back from 2-0. And we gifted them goals. And I did say to you guys, didn't I, Dr. Tottenham, because Liverpool haven't won away all season. And they come to us and beat us. And sorry, but I wasn't on the reaction show yesterday. What was the score and what was the predictions?
Darius 3K said that to me earlier. He's giving it. You know, Sid.
Coward.
No, Sid.
You.
Why am I a coward?
You didn't show
I say
up.
it as it is, bro. You know how it is. We have opinions, and I just said it how it was, and I was right.
But don't you think, and I'll ask you this, Sean, don't you think there was fine margins in that game? Because I predicted a 3-2 scoreline. And at one point, when we did get that the 2-1 from Kane, and we hit the crossbar, I was thinking, you know what, my scoreline could have come through. We had other chances as well. No, we hit the crossbar in the first half as well. But to me, again, I was emotional yesterday. I was upset because you travel all that way down. You're wanting the team to put in a performance, and they did. But you don't want to be gifting a 2-0 lead to Liverpool, of all teams, no matter what state they're in. As you were saying yesterday, Sean, the record against Liverpool is atrocious. It's absolutely abysmal, akin to Man United, akin to Chelsea. And you have to look at it in a cold light of day. It was always going to be a tough game. But I suspected that the Liverpool that we've seen this season, given that they've been to Nottingham Forest lost, then they were at their own place and lost to Leeds, 2 teams that are threatened with relegation. I know Leeds are kind of come on a little bit, but I'm hoping they don't come on that much come Sunday. Pause. But tell me, Sean, in the reaction yesterday, how did you feel about what's going to be next? Because again, you look now, as we talked about, a game coming up, and then it's the World Cup. What do you see as being the next step, the next whatever you think is going to be happening at Spurs over the next couple of months?
Interesting. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and things today, and I wasn't aware of the schedule, in particular the Carabao Cup schedule. We actually have a Carabao. If we win on Wednesday, we have a Carabao Cup schedule 4-day match scheduled 4 days after the World Cup final. 4 days after the World Cup final, which we could have a number of players in. It's an absolute nightmare. I now know that Conte has binned off the press conference tomorrow. I think we're gonna play kids on Wednesday. I think we're bidding off the Carabao Cup, which breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. But it's totally understandable because the semi-finals, that tournament, the semi-final list will be, or the finalists will be known by the end of January. There's now not a chance. There's not a free midweek to reschedule our game against Manchester City.
Yeah,
it's an absolute shambles of a season. However, at the start of the season, what did we say we wanted by the World Cup break? We wanted to be in the top 4. We're in the top 4. We wanted to be through in the Champions League. We're through in the Champions League. It hasn't been pretty, but, you know, given the depths of the injuries, no team in the Premier League has suffered 4 out of 5 attackers out at one stage. No team. And therefore, I think Conte needs to be commended. And the irony is that when Conte was appointed a year ago this week, people said him and Levy will fall out. Him and Levy will fall out. And you know who's driving Conte out the door? It's our fucking fans. I'm absolutely livid that our fans... And Conte said it in the press conference. If you don't give me patience, if you don't give me a chance to turn this team around and remember where we were a year ago under Nuno, he will walk. And I'll tell you something, that will be on every fan that of joining the Conte out chorus that are complaining about performances and not realising how bloody difficult this season is. How difficult this season is. No other club, Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, Manchester United, have had the injury list that we have. And yet we're going to get into the top 4 before the World Cup break. I think it's a bloody miracle that Conte has worked and our fans are driving him out the door. And that's my real worry. It's not Levy.
Yeah.
Conte is Levy's last chance saloon. He's doing everything he can to keep him in place. And our fans are driving him away. And that sickens me to the stomach.
Now, we've got to obviously balance up things here. We've got to play a bit of devil's advocate as well. And I want to talk about the comments. And I've not seen the press conference, but I saw some of the press conference comments from Conte. I'm going to paraphrase it, suggesting, you know, the fans, yes, they've got a right to do, because they pay, they've got a right to do what they want, but it's not good because they're not supporting the team, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing again. If, you know, certain things, then I don't know if I'll have that desire to continue, blah, blah, blah. Reading between the lines, it's saying to me, if you don't stop, but there's a potential that you're harming the team and I don't want to stay here for that. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, talk about fine margins. If that penalty, and it was a penalty all day, every day, and twice on Sunday against Sessegnon, was given, Kane scores, it's 1-1, and we win that game.
I agree.
We were the better team over the majority of the 90 minutes. And yet, some of our fans decide to get on their backs. And I understand the high prices, and I understand that, but it wasn't a Manchester United performance. It wasn't an Arsenal performance. We played very well in large spells of that game. I would say 75 out of 90 minutes. We hit the woodwork twice. And our fans need to take a reality check. It's not Levy that's driving Conte away. Their relationship, as everyone has said, is good. Anyone in the media says their relationship's good. It's our fans that are putting it at jeopardy.
Let me ask Sid this then, Sean, because as I said, we got to have both sides of the coin. We've got to think to yourself. Sid, is it? I'm not suggesting that you do this or not, and this is not for you to kind of. It's just a question. Is it right that the fans have the right, or should I say, do the fans have the right to boo at halftime in a performance where it wasn't a bad performance per se? It was a bad first 50 minutes, and then it was a bad mistake that led to the second goal. But I thought for large parts of that first half, we looked all right. There were, obviously, we can go through the individual players that we all know and can name off and reel off that are just not good enough. But then I say that, and I look at a Newcastle team that's got Dan Burns in there, Longstaff, Callum Wilson, who's always getting injured, do you know, Kieran Trippier that used to play for us, that's gone off to Madrid, come back, and now is playing for them. Nobody really wanted. I'm not saying that they're not a good bunch of players, but again, I balance that and look at their squad and look at our squad, and I wouldn't say that they've got a better squad than us. they might go on and start acquiring players in January. I don't know. They've got a lot of money. But I always go for this now. I don't want to hear this, oh, we ain't got these players. Yes, they're not good enough, some of them. Yes, I saw Emerson Royal trap a ball, no pressure on him, and balloon it for a bloody goal kick. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, this is why they don't make these runs. Because if that's the quality of ball that's coming in, you can't make runs for that. Because no one wants to run in the box to see it balloon over their head. So I can understand that. I looked at Sessegnon yesterday and I thought, this guy, why doesn't he just drive at a player? What's wrong with driving at a player? Can't you try to take a player on? Harry Kane doesn't make runs in behind. He wants to come to get the ball. Yes, he scores the goals for us, but that Liverpool line was so high. That's where Son comes into play. Yes, we've lambasted Son, and quite rightly so, because his high ceiling of quality hasn't been reached. But he gives us that running behind. Kulishevsky comes on in 20 minutes. He's man of the match for me. Do the fans have the right to boo Sid?
Right. First things first. Sean, you mentioned the penalty, right? I'm just going to quickly touch on that because I don't know whether you guys know or not. Man City got a penalty on Saturday. Yeah. Cancelo got sent off. That was the ref that gave the penalty. That same ref was on VAR on Sunday and didn't give it. So the same referee, two different decisions on the same day, on different days. I can understand the inconsistency, yes, but this is not an inconsistency. This is the same bloke making two different decisions on what was potentially the same.
Yeah, but that's after reading all the negative comments he got overnight.
I know.
And he changes his decision based on what?
He's an idiot.
You know, the problem is that we've got referees checking in on their mates. VAR needs to be taken away from referees because it's a cartel of mates.
It's keeping the referees in a job. Friends, like you said, Friends United or whatever. But going back to the booing, right? I personally think on Sunday, I don't think we were that bad first half. We done okay, yeah. We weren't brilliant like we were second half. We done okay. I think what frustrated the fans, number one, I think, was the fact that Cess and Emerson Royal started. Right? I think the guy next to me said to me, what does Doherty have to do, or Spence, to get into his team with the way Royal's playing at the moment? So I think they were frustrated at that, right? Then he puts in a performance like that again, right? So our two wing backs, everyone's got the same sort of thing. So they were complaining about that. Then I don't know about you guys, but I think Liverpool were there for the taking, even from the offset, even before they scored the first goal. And when they scored the first goal, I personally think Liverpool were there for the taking, right? They did bits and bats in the first half, but they didn't really sort of panic us or give us grief in front of that goal. We was comfortable until then Dyer decided to do whatever Dyer did, right? And that's what's frustrating for the fans. So I don't think they're booing at Conte. I think it's a mixture of booing at the players, the tactics that was used, and also I think Daniel Levy comes into it a little bit as well, right? Now, going back to what you said, Sam, people are paying silly money for games, right? To come and watch Spurs, and they're probably getting peed off of watching that boring football in the first half because we're at home. If we're away from home and you go and play like that, I can understand that, right? But why are we at home starting against teams like that? Because I remember they were saying, I want to make the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium a fortress. I want teams to come to us and be feared. Yeah. It looks like teams are coming to us first off and we're fearing them. And then something clicks in the second half. Why don't we come out like that in the first half? Right? Give it to the teams, go 2-0 up, and then come out second half and play like we do in the first half. Not give the ball away, play defensively if we have to, blah, blah, blah. And then the other thing as well, and I was a bit pissed, right? I don't know about you, Sam, because you was there at the game. There was one incident in the first half. Our striker was playing almost at left back to go and get the ball. Yeah? And although I thought Perisic had a fantastic game because the amount of pressing that guy did on Sunday, he was running around like a blue-ass fly. Yeah? while certain other players, and Kane, I'm going to say it, was walking around. Yeah. Perisic was constantly pressing every time the ball was pressed back to the keeper. None of our other players were helping him. So I think that sort of frustrated the fans as well. So they shouldn't boo the team off at half time unless it's an absolute pathetic performance where we're losing 9-0, right? I don't think 2-0 merited a booing, but I think there's a lot of circumstances, frustration, and I think also on people's mind is them lot down the road doing what they ever did doing, and top of the league is playing on people's minds. And I agree with you, Sean. If the fans are not careful, we're going to end up losing one of the best ever managers we're going to have at that football club. And then we're in dire straits. And we're going to be, you know what? Then they can go and boo as much as they want every single time, because that's what they will be doing with whichever manager comes in.
But I agree. Yeah. I agree with what you say. Sorry, Sean. I'm going to just pick up on this point. Then I'll let you stay up. I agree with what you're saying about the fact of the fans booing. But sorry, the fact that I don't think the fans are booing necessarily at Conte. It's a frustration thing. They've seen 3 games in a row. This will be the 3rd game in a row, and not even taking into consideration the rest of the season that's happened. We haven't performed well in the first half, probably apart from the Newcastle game, Southampton game, possibly Everton as well. I don't remember too many games where we've actually bossed first halves. That said, second half performances usually come and get better. They've had to, because we've usually gone 1-0 down or whatever it is. It'll be, I think, are we not the top in terms of the team that's had to come back from being down? We've got, so that shows that too many games we're having to do this. You can't keep doing it. So I don't think the fans are necessarily booing at Conte. They're booing at some of the performances of the players. They're seeing the same mistakes. So Conte's not helping himself by playing the same players, then the same players doing the same thing over and over again, when you've got other players that we ain't even seen, not given an opportunity, that we will, and I'm talking about Spence in particular, that we've all said, yeah, prospect, exciting young talent, did bits against those other lot last season and against Premier League opposition. And yet we're being told by the manager that, A, I'm not sure if it was me that wanted him. I didn't really want him. And B, he's not ready. But if he's not ready, what the hell is Emerson? Because I'm saying to people now, this guy, and Darren said it before, he has to trap a ball with the sole of his foot almost all the time. You don't see him off the side. He's got no Brazilian technique. And yet we can't see one of the highly sought after young players from last season even get a half. I'm not talking about a full game. I'm talking about a half. If he doesn't play on Wednesday, what do you think is going to be the case, Sean?
We're talking about Spence. I think Spence is down for a loan.
Yeah.
I think he's down for a loan in January and possibly next season as well. I think but again, so much is on fine margins. As I said, if Harry Kane equalises from a penalty, which we should have genuinely had, Dyer doesn't make that mistake. 9 times out of 10, Dyer doesn't make that mistake. We were in the ascendancy. It's so close to half time. I can understand why fans are still feeling, but it doesn't help the players. No. And Conte identifies with these players. He does identify with these players. And if you criticise them, he takes it you're criticising him. And, I can't get away from it. I'm starting to feel the Tottenham fan base are doing their usual. They're hounding out a coach. Or making a coach feel uncomfortable. And, whilst I might have supported it under Jose, if we lose Antonio Conte, I don't know.
Do you know what, Sean? I think a lot of fans, or a lot of people like us have forgotten this. On Sunday, I think at least 80% of them boos at half time weren't for the players or the tactics or the manager. It was that bloody person in the black outfit. I think a lot of that was aimed at him because of his decision making in that first half. And I think a lot of booing was aimed at him more so than the players.
this is a point here, Bondino. Conte knows if Spencer's a success, Levy will not give him a seasoned right wing back he wants. Levy wants cheap options. Now, there's this. Is it the tweet on Twitter? The Jamie Carragher comments about Conte.
Yes.
Now, firstly, we have to decide: do we think Conte's a defensive coach, or is he having to employ defensive tactics? Two different things. Because I've seen him have some really attacking teams, and I've seen us really have some attacking moments since he's been here. So I don't want to say he's a defensive coach per se. Is he a coach that adapts tactically to what he's got? I think he has to, because of the players at his disposal, and he's maybe used to a let's not twist any words, higher caliber of players throughout the whole team and squad. But yet he's gone back to Juventus and wherever else, and also had players that are not well known. So he's not had to go out and spend 70, 80, 90 million per player to get success. But what he has mostly been is supported in what he's needed to do up to a point. I don't necessarily think that Conte has got all his players that he wants. I agree with that. But is he a defensive coach that needs defensive players? And if that is the case, we ain't got good enough defenders. So where do you stand on Conte as a coach, Sean?
He is an attack-minded automation coach who relies on a very strong defence. If you see his Inter team, they used to sweep up the field, and they had deadly forwards in Martinez and Lukaku. This is, he's not got the key position. The key positions are wing backs, and we haven't got decent wing backs. For me, Sessegnon died. He's died. He's not going to make it out at Spurs. Emerson Royale does a lot of things that Conte values. He's got pace. He can get up the field. He can stretch the play. What he can't do, and I'll give you an example, Sam. You said that he couldn't trap cement. He did actually bring down a ball on Sunday, and then nearly hit the corner flag with a cross. So I mean, he can do some of the Brazilian stuff. What he can't do is the Cafu stuff. He can't do the Roberto Carlos stuff. He can't do, historically, they've always had great wing backs. Go back to, I'm old enough to watch the 1970s Brazil team live. Carlos Alberto scoring a goal in the final. He was bought for a different manager, and Conte is not, I would take issue with Dino about the cheap options. Is Richarlison a cheap option?
Exactly.
60 million.
Good point.
Is it a cheap option? No, I don't think it is. Has he improved the depth of the squad? Yes, he has. He's been injured. Minor things. And I think the fan base have just lost their shit. They've just lost the place at the moment, and it's all half empty, not glass half full. And I hope the players get some rest, and they have their second pre-season. And then another thing this club, not only have we had the injuries, we lost a highly valued member of the management team in Gianpiero Ventrone. Some of those players had very, very good relationships. You saw it in the Instagram post of Eric Dyer this very week. He sent his England shirt to Ventrone's son and said, Gianpiero got me this shirt, got me back into this shirt. Now, these are human beings. We forget that they're human beings. And sometimes we just expect miracles. And we've got to stop expecting miracles. It's very much indicative of the society we're in. It's now. Credit card, we'll go and buy the latest iPhone. It doesn't work like that. We haven't got a sovereign wealth fund of £410 billion behind us, as Newcastle United have. And don't fall for cheap media narratives. They've spent £200 million in the last two windows. £200 million, £100 million each window. So they have got good players. They've also got functional players. They are not in Europe. They can have a week off between games. There's so many more advantages our opponents have, and let's get a bit of basis of reality. We're going to have an important January window. Conte has told Levy in no uncertain terms, I need better players if you want me to achieve things in the days of oil nation clubs. So I'm looking forward to the January window. I'm hoping Fabio, Antonio and Daniel get round the table and say, this is who I need. I need a Hikimi style right wing back for a start.
I'm going to come to our resident transfer expert, guru, lord and master. That's you, Sid. What do you see happening next in this? Because what Sean's touched on is quite right. You know, there has to be now pressure because we've all been at games. And I think that gives you a different perspective of the players. When you watch it on TV, and I haven't watched the highlights from yesterday's game, but I want to watch, you don't see everything. You don't see where certain players have got that real lot of space. You don't always see the off-ball movement until you're watching it live. Like I said, without people like Benton Kerr in our team, I don't know what we'd do. Basuma had a good game yesterday. Great game. Højbjerg again. When he's on it, he's on it. He sometimes has a little bit, but again, I give him the credit for the fact that he's always going to give whatever he's got. But we're let down by some players. We are let down by some players. We can't get away from it. I know I'm comparing our squad to the likes of, you know, Newcastle. I'd even say Arsenal. But again, is it because Arsenal are playing so well that we're now thinking that their players are much better than ours? Because at the start of the season, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that at all. But now you look at the way they're playing, and I guess that's what's probably disgrunting a lot of fans at this moment in time. The way they're playing is getting the results, which gets them to the top. If they were playing like us and at the top, you would kind of say, well, look, they're shithousing in their way. But now they're playing good football and getting the success, as is the team in second place to them, Man City. Coincidence? Don't know. Can this way of football be sustained in our way of playing to be successful? And what do we need in the transfer window if that is the case?
So just picking up on what you said about Spence and the fact that if Spence plays well, blah, 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 he's not going to get he's not going to get another right wing back. The right wing backs we've got, right, are not good enough at this precise moment. Emerson Royal, right? Doherty is all right, yeah, but he's not the answer to start every single game if you want to win cups and trophies and leagues and whatever, right? So you've now got an upcoming youngster who was sought after in the summer, and a lot of teams were knocking on the door, and he chose Spurs, right? Now, Conte said it on many times, he's not my player, he's a club buyer, Okay, that's fine. Whether Daniel Levy's done that to stop other teams buying him on the cheap, got him cheap, and then hoping he can sell him for profit, we don't know. But if I was Conte, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking, do you know what? I've got Spence, that's fine. I still need a world-class right wing back, and Spence can learn from him and give him competition. So then I'll have Spence and this other right back or right wing back. Then I can sell my two that I've got. So I've already got two now, so it doesn't make a difference. So that narrative, I think, is going to get flawed because we've got an upcoming young right back who's going to be solid. You go and get an experienced one, and then you, like you did with Perisic, you mix and match them, right? Now, I've said this, and I don't know whether you guys will agree with me or not, but all this narratives about January transfer window is going to be massive. We need to go and buy players. Conte's got a list. Dumfries is one of them. Locatelli he's looking at apparently, and we're getting linked with strikers left, right, and centre. That some of them I've never heard of. Some's got 15 goals and 16 assists in 12 games and blah blah blah. I've never heard of this bloke, right? And the last thing Conte is going to do is go and buy somebody who Danny Rose is going to have to Google, right? So that's that. Secondly, who in January is going to be A, available, B, club willing to sell, and C, which I think as well, the players that we're going to be looking at are going to be Champions League cup tied, right? Majority, probably, if you're looking at top quality world-class centre-backs, right wing-backs, they're going to be cup tied. So they're not going to be able to play in the Champions League for us.
Can I ask one question? Are you cut-tied if you've played in the Europa League for the Champions League as
No,
well?
you can go from Europa to Champions and Champions to Europa, but you can't go from Champions to Champions League. You can't buy a player that's already played in the Champions League.
So saying that, there's some good teams that went out of
That's
the
right.
Champions League into the bloody Europa League with
Yeah.
some good players in them squads. Now, I know you want to get the best of the best, but you've also got to look at, being smart in the business. There was a player that plays for Napoli. Darius was playing in
Karaveshkali, the left winger, the 12
the
million
left
pound
winger, the left winger that looks like Son.
Yes.
He basically plays like Son. Now,
Yeah.
a player like that is an ideal player, and I think Spurs were linked with him last year.
in the
He's
summer.
21 years of age. You look at him now, Napoli are flying. He's flying.
Yeah.
We ain't going to get that sort of player now, are we?
Not now. Apparently, we're linked with him again, but he went for 12 million, I think. You're not looking at less than 40, 50 million for him. Another centre back.
I think if you not even get that, Napoli ain't going to sell him for that.
No,
Why
they're
would
not.
they?
Exactly. And then, especially now they're in the Champions League last 16 as well. So, no. Another one that we were linked with, and on Sid says I've done it, Kim Jan-mei, the defender, Japanese defender. We had the opportunity to buy him. We never went and got him. Now look at him. Man, he's on fire, right? So my point is, yes, this January transfer window is going to be massive. But like Sean said, you're going to have the likes of Newcastle, Man City, even Liverpool, even Chelsea. They're all going to be coming in for players in January because a lot of them, even Arsenal, because if Arsenal's still top of the league come January, they're going to start looking at players to buy. And the biggest question is going to be, is he going to pay 70, 60, 80, 90 million pounds for one player? Daniel Levy is not going to do that, right? Because the January transfer window, the prices are going to get inflated. Simple as, because if players are sought after and they know we're desperate to go and buy these players, club is going to spend stupid money and we're not going to do that. And this guy, Bellingham, apparently, again today, he said he wants to go to Liverpool. So we can forget about him. He ain't coming to Spurs. He's already said it, and he said it time after time. He's going to Liverpool. However, he'll be a massive, massive player, but he ain't going to go anywhere in January as well. So the problem is, and I think people have said it in the comment section, if the top players are not going to be available in January, is he then going to go and buy mediocre players that technically he doesn't want, but I'm going to have to reshuffle the team, so I'll have to go and buy him.
Let's
You know
wrap
what I
this up.
There is one factor though, Sid, which you need to factor in, which is, sorry about that's a shite thing, but the clubs in Europe are skint. They are skint, and if extraordinary sums are being bandied about, they will sell. They will sell because
on that one, Sean, let me just, sorry to interrupt you. On that one, I agree with you. Atletico Madrid, they've been sold 4 players. Felix, Carrasco, and 2 others have to be sold, and they're going to be transfer listed. But apparently, they have to sell 2 in January, and them 2 potentially could be Carrasco and Felix.
Felix
So
ain't
they could
coming
be
to Spurs.
available. Yeah, sorry,
Felix ain't
Sean.
coming to Spurs. Sorry, that's all I'll say to that. But,
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Carrasco would be a good acquisition.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I mean, Atletico are in the spot of bother.
Yes.
They are in the spot of bother. I mean, they're not pulling up trees in the league. Simeone seems to have possibly run his course. I don't know. And it's they're obviously out of Europe totally, finished bottom of their group, didn't they? So yeah, I think there are and this is where Paratici has to be canny. He has to look at the you need to do due diligence on the club and see what financial position. Don't even continents going towards Napoli. Their chairman makes Levy look like an amateur in terms of the fees he's able to extract out of other clubs.
That's what I said about Napoli.
No one wants to do business with the CEO of Napoli. He'll take an arm, a leg, and possibly 2 of your ears at the same time as well. So don't even go there. we need to be looking at it in closer to home, as Dino has said as well. We always seem to have this problem: foreign player limits.
Yeah.
I think there's pruning to be done in January as well. There's pruning to be done. You know,
well, this is what I want to do, Sean, and I want to start first of it because I want to wrap this up and try and just tie it up in a neat little bow, if possible. It's not always possible with Spurs because they fucking undo the bow all the time.
It's not happening. It's not happening, Sam.
Well, I'm going to try. Right, and this is what I'm saying. The statement was this is what's next for Spurs. It was a statement as opposed to a question. There's lots of questions behind that statement, but that was a statement itself. What we need to be in a position, because we did well in January in terms of getting players. The 2 players that we got in January have made all the difference to our squad this season so far. And one of them has been injured, and we've seen the difference that he's made. So I know that we can get it right in a transfer window from a January perspective. But as I think we can all see, this World Cup is going to cause X amount of problems. There's going to be players that are going to get injured. So clubs are going to start getting desperate. Oh, shit, that player's now out. We need him. So we'll start going in for a player. A Liverpool might come in for him, or a Manchester City. You never know. These might be players that they might want as well, if they're that top quality. So we're going to have to compete in a market that's really, really difficult. With the World Cup in there as well. So I don't know how this plays out. With
World Cup's a massive shop window as well, Sam.
It's a massive shop window. But how do you get the deals done? How do you get the deals done you still have to wait till January. The players, I just don't know how. You can't say, right, we're going to have that player for the 1st of January. I don't know how it's going to work. But what I want to see...
Why is Bellingham a shoe-in to Liverpool then, if the deals are not getting done?
He's a shoe. I don't think he's a shoe-in. I don't know.
No, he is a shoe-in to go to Liverpool.
Klopp
has been talking to him for ages.
Not in January. Not in January.
That's a summer move. It's not January.
No way he's going in January.
It's not January.
100% tell you that now.
Well, if we can't do it how can they do it in summer if we can't do it in January?
Because
Dortmund won't sell him.
No, they won't sell him, and I think it's always been a summer move. It's always been penned as a summer move.
They'd have to pay some serious. If they get him, fair play to Liverpool. I don't know how they did, but why would Dortmund again, who are still in the Champions League, sell one of their best players before they need to? They don't need. If Liverpool have agreed a deal in principle and Liverpool want him in January, I'd say, okay, give me 255 million then, as opposed to 125. I'd just double the price. It won't happen. It can't happen. But I want to go back to the statement. I want to see us aggressively go for certain players and get them that are achievable to get. The likes of James Maddison, they're achievable. They're gettable because of no Europe. Yes, Leicester might want to put, but Leicester have to. If he says, I'm not signing any contracts, I'm going, you can do the same with Tielemans. There's players like that. Whether we want that player, I don't know. Defensively is where we're going to need to really be smart here. Is there any defenders in the Premier League that we could attract now? Probably. Is there defenders elsewhere? Yes, of course there is. But I don't know how these things are going to get done without attracting the attention for everybody else to want, because everybody would want a top-class defender. But I want to see us go out and do that. I want us to remain in the top 4 by winning the game against Leeds. That will cement that. And we're already in the Champions League. So when you gloss it like that, we're not in a bad place. But you alluded to it a lot, Sean. The fans are demanding where we are demanding, and that's going to have an impact on performances from what I've seen for certain players because they can't cope with the pressure. I'm sorry, we still haven't got around this mentality thing. Don't care what anybody tells me. We haven't. We can come back from games, but we ain't beaten a big 16 this season. We haven't. Wrap it up in a little bow for me, Sean, and then Sid can do the same.
I don't know. I mean, there's not really much I can add, my concern when I joined the stream is that the fans are shooting themselves in the foot, and we've got a history of it. I'm a wee bit concerned about that. I'm also concerned that it looks like we're going to bin off the Carabao Cup, but I can understand that. This schedule is a nightmare. Imagine knowing the finalists by the 31st of January, and we're only playing our first match on Wednesday. That's bonkers. I would hope. I would hope.
That was a deep intake of breath. I'm like, ooh, what's coming out now? Go on, sorry.
I hope that Conte isn't pissed off as he sounded like in at the fans' reaction on Saturday. I've never felt it. I felt he's really enjoying the. Everyone says he's happy to be at the club. He likes the facilities. He likes working with the players. He would obviously want better players, and he's communicated that to PRTv and probably face to face as Levy as well. So let's look forward to a good January window where we improve in the places that we need to improve, that we let players who are not featuring in the first team either go on loan or we sell them on, and we start to really deepen the squad, which we started to do. Yves Bissouma was an absolute beast on Sunday. He did not deserve to be on the losing side, nor did Bentancur, nor did Højbjerg.
He didn't deserve to come off. That was the other thought, but he had to because we had to change the tactics of the game. But I saw him best game he's played for us, in my opinion.
And so we've got a player. PRTv's, I would still say he was in positive territory in terms of the acquisitions. Obviously, there's some dud ones as well. But yeah, let's look forward to January. Let's look forward to us coming back on Boxing Day and not 3 to 4 days beforehand to play a meaningless Carabao Cup, which breaks, as I said before, breaks my heart. Domestic trophies are the best way we've got of winning things this week. Domestic cups.
I've said that every single year since we ain't won a cup. We got to win a trophy. And if it starts with the bloody Carabao Cup, I will be celebrating like it was the World Cup. I don't care what people tell me, because ultimately it's the road to success that you have to have. People can say, well, you ain't won nothing. You ain't won nothing.
Our players sitting in the dressing room at Wembley with a winner's medal in their hand cannot. It's the best thing for them 100%. Because they want to repeat it. 100%. They know that they can do it. They want to repeat it.
And that
is
why
mentality building.
That is why the players, and that's why the managers like Mourinho and Pep always focus on winning every single trophy that they're in. They don't, they want to win everything. And that's the mentality of the top. Sid, if we had this conversation at the 31st of January, what would you see for Spurs? What do you see in your crystal ball come the end of January in terms of this is where Spurs are going to be?
So, sorry, Sean, but I see us into the next round of the Carabao Cup, because there's no way he's putting out a weakened side on Wednesday. He will not. Antonio Conte is not a manager who will just put out youngsters to forfeit a cup. He wants to win the cup. He knows. He's already said, we're not good enough to win the league this season. Not yet, for 2 years or so. We can win a cup. So Carabao Cup on Wednesday for us at Forest away is a big game, and I think he will play. Everyone who's fit will play. Kulu probably might not play. He'll probably be on the bench again. But barring any mishaps or any serious injuries between now and Wednesday, probably will be the same team. But he will not rest any players. I guarantee you that. And my only fear for Wednesday is they had 3 penalties denied on Saturday. And I just hope whichever referee is in charge doesn't have pity for Nottingham Forest and decide to give them everything. Because like they say, what goes around comes around, and they didn't get it on Saturday. So just hope referees a bit screwed up there. You know what I mean? But end of 31st of January, I can see maybe 1 or 2 signings, but I don't think it will be the marquee signings that we want. Yeah. However, I got a sneaky feeling, right, that there will Conte and PRTv are going to pull something off. Now, whether that's Bastoni or what's the other one? Place for Milan, Skriniar, yeah. Whether it's one of them two, I've got a funny feeling he's going to pull one of them off. Which one, I don't know, but I can see something in that term. That what do you call it? The Russian Malinovsky. I'm hearing rumors he's done and dusted, but
That's what I've
I'm
heard
not
too.
I'm not convinced by that until January comes and he's actually signed on that paper. Problem we've got is we've got a lot of players that we need to get rid of, and we ain't going to get rid of them. And Conte has said to get by players in, I need to get rid of players. If you're going to then decide to get rid of Gill and Spence on loans, that means you're letting 2 more players out your squad. Who have you got to replace? So that is the biggest issue for me, is to try and get rid of more of them players and get someone in. So I just still think it's going to be a very, very interesting January window. Like Sean said, the World Cup is going to be massive because players getting injured, blah, blah, blah. Some players are going to be really good. You're going to get a Karol Popowski somewhere in there that is going to have a worldly World Cup. And then,
I remember that. Karol Popowski.
you know what I mean?
Who was it as well? That German? Was it Lucas Podolski? He was another one.
I'm on about Karol Popowski, the Czech player.
Yeah,
Remember the one?
I know who you want, but Lucas Podolski, he just appeared in the World Cup. He was like, bloody hell. And then, like I said, James Rodriguez was another one. There's loads of players that do just turn up in the World Cup.
Yeah.
And you think, my God. And then they, 100%. Whatever happens, but players are starting to go.
Just on a side note, and I'm going to end it. Minimito for Brighton on Saturday. What a find. 3.1 million. They went and got him. What a find. What a player he is, yeah? Maybe we need to start looking at them kind of players, because that kid is good. And he's going to be...
But Sid, we all those things you've said there are right. They're risks. Sven Botman, now, I'm looking at him and thinking, why didn't we get him? Why didn't we get Sven Botman? It's a risk. We take risks, but then we don't seem to take risks, if that makes sense. So we've got Spence. That's a risk.
Yeah.
But we don't take the risks on seeing if he can play and perform. That doesn't make sense. You get Gill, massive risk, young player. You can see he's got ability, but he's not quite gonna, he's not given enough. But we still see the likes of Lucas Moura trotted out. I love Lucas Moura for what he's done.
Yeah.
Sorry now. Sorry, he's got to go.
Yeah, but the problem is, and I think we've said this many times, they're not Conte players. Let Conte pick his players and let him bring his players that he wants.
But who is Conte's players? Who are them?
Well,
2 players he's brought in that are definitely his. Kulishevsky and Bentancur. Perisic's definitely his player.
Yeah.
Who else? Was you say Richarlison was? I wouldn't have said so. Definitely not Spence. I wouldn't have said so.
No.
The Deji's not even come to the...
Bissouma his player?
I wouldn't have said he wanted to go. I think Spurs are tracking him before that. That was a deal that was had to get done because somebody else would have taken him because it was 25 million that they'd done with Brighton. So I don't think he was a Conte didn't say I want him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't play 3-5-2. So do you know what I mean? He's a defensive midfielder.
But we've got to give him the opportunity now, because now he keeps saying they're not my players, they're club life, blah, blah, blah. Let's give him the opportunity and come back to this in a year's time, and then we can say, well, you've had your players now, mate, and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. It's just going to swing around until we get rid of them players that need to get rid of. It's going to be an interesting one. But
I wanted to finish it, but I'm not. I want to ask one more question. So do you think it is time that Conte keeps saying that he needs, that we have to then, as fans, have this patience? Are we going to see this up and down? Are we going to see this progression? Are we going to see this transformation? Because what I think we've got is we've had Jose Mourinho, we've had a little bit of Mason in there, and then we've had the bearded one. I don't even want to mention his name anymore. And then we've got Conte. But the styles of play throughout that is a common thread. We've not seen that style of play. Now, again, I don't care what style of play. If we win the Carabao Cup, I couldn't give a toss if it was stunk out and we win on penalties. I personally don't care, but I know a lot of fans do. So, is it time, Sean? Is it just time that Conte needs? And if it is he going to get it?
He's been here 1 year exactly. He joined part of the way through a season. He's only had this one season. He's achieved the 2 targets we set him as fans. I'm sure they were the same targets that were set to him by Daniel Levy at the beginning of the season. He's achieved those. He needs to be backed. And we need to be patient. His football, once he's got the right personnel, will be entertaining, will be exciting. We got glimpses of it in the spring. Are people forgetting? We smashed Villa, we smashed Newcastle. We absolutely hammered teams. We gave Arsenal a doing on and off the field at our place. Honestly, people's memories are so short. It's like the Tottenham fan base are a whole load of goldfish. They forget everything.
Careful. A lot of them might watch us, Sean. Don't forget. You know what I mean? Some fans. That's what I'm saying. Some fans.
Well, an increasingly loud number of them. Yeah. But yeah, I'm prepared to give Conte all the time he wants in the world. But whether he stays is not in my hands other than supporting him. So all I can do is support him. I can't, it's up to Daniel Levy and the board to supply the money to sign off the deals of the players that he wants. And we will never know the players he wants because that's not how you do business in football. You don't let the world know who you're after so everyone else jumps in and buys the player.
It's very true. Negotiations don't happen like that. Do you know what I mean? Don't happen in the public eye. It happen behind closed doors. That's why all managers say, I don't want to talk about that player. Sid, is it time that Conte needs? And is he going to get the time?
Do you know what? Let me just say something. It's a long, long road with many a winding. Anyway,
you get that high note, fam.
So basically, if we go back 4 years or 5 years, Liverpool appointed a certain manager from Borussia Dortmund by the name of Jurgen Klopp. And Jurgen Klopp said, it's a slow process. Give me four years. Give me 5 years. And he won it in 4 years. Right? The title. He said 5. They won it in 4. Antonio Conte has said, you got to have a little bit of patience. Bear with me. It ain't an instant success, right? Bear with me. Let me do what I got to do. And it'll take time. Yeah? Because if you fall, I will catch you time after time. But we've just got to give it time. And he said it. He's not said, I'm going to give you instant success, did he? He said, give me time with what I've got.
He even wrote off winning a trophy on Sunday in his press conference. So he didn't say, he said, I can't promise you, the fans, a trophy. So if he's being as honest with us, we need to be supportive of him.
This is it.
He's the best opportunity we've got in the modern day to win a trophy because this guy knows how to win games.
This is it. And he said it all along, hasn't he? So we've got, and I keep saying it, you fans want instant success. You're not going to get it yet because I haven't got the squad for that, right? And I know deep down in his mind, he's going back to Bros and he's saying, I owe you nothing at all.
What's a melody?
But
tunes today.
We've just got to give him time. And he said it time and time again. It's us Spurs fans that are, yes, we've got one of the best managers in the world, blah, blah, blah. He's got a good record. He wins titles. We want it straight away. It's not going to happen. So you just got to bear and grin with it. Let him have his players. Let him have his time. Let him get what he wants out to them players, and success will come. Simple.
There's so much we could do on this, as I said, because I'd like to talk about is his style at this moment in time outdated. What I mean by that is his way with players. Because is it? No, and I'm not saying yes or no to that, Sean. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Is he a manager for the long haul? Does he have a past history of being at clubs for 3 to 5 years? Is he prepared to do that at Spurs? Is he going to get backed? Is Daniel Levy looking and saying this is a short-term fix, but I want to get success now, and I've got a longer-term plan with somebody else who I know has got more of a long-term vision? Because no matter what we look at it, Conte is usually a short-term vision for most places that he goes to, but he's backed within that vision. We've only had him a year. I don't think that's enough time for him to do what we want him to do. But I still think there's things that he can do to get us to win a trophy this season by not bidding off something like the Carabao Cup. Because I've seen teams compete for that. Yeah, Manchester City normally win it, but we've got an opportunity because at the end of the day, even they are going to have a little bit of, you know what? Oh, we're in a league race. We've got champions. Anyway, there's a lot more we could do.
I'll tell you what, City would rather win the Champions League this year.
I know.
And they would throw off the Carabao Cup.
Facts.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what? At the end of the day, man, no matter what happens, we've just got to remember, and I'm going to finish off on this, right? Because somebody keeps Mr. Juicy's. But all I'm going to say,
you, fam.
I'm going to just finish off and just say, nothing's going to change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I've never asked for more than your love. Simple.
Bloody lyrics. Simple. I don't know lyrics like you know lyrics. I'm going to have to start.
That's Glenn Medeiros, by the way.
I'm going to have to start practicing. David Clark. So what I'm saying is about buying the right players. I think that's a good note to end on. We have to buy the right players to fit his system, his style of play, what he wants to achieve. We have to buy the right players. And at this moment in time, we don't have all the right players in the right positions. And that was apparent from when I saw Emerson roll that ball out. That's my lasting moment from that game. It's all I could see because I thought, he's got about 5 minutes here. He can set this one up. There's no one near him. He's going to ping that in that 6-yard box and they're going to get an opportunity. And I turned to the guy next to me and all I saw was this.
I was right behind that goal. I was watching it in full effect and I'm like, and I looked at my sons and I looked at the guy next to me. And you know what the funny thing was, right? I've got to say this. Sorry, guys. The seat next to me is a pensioner, and I think he can only make certain games. He wasn't there.
Good for
so
him.
We had some, I don't know whether he was a South American guy sat next to me, right? Within 10 minutes, he said to me, him on the left, him on the right. They're shit. Who are they? And I went, don't worry, mate.
You need to come here every week.
Yeah.
Every other week. That's what you should have told him. You need to come here every other week. That's what you need to do.
He was like, what? I said, that guy's a Brazilian. And he looked at me like, what?
He's not Brazilian. Anyway, we've done it. We've done an hour on this one, lads. It was good. We could do another hour. No doubt easily could do another hour on this. But I think we're going to compartmentalize this one for now and bring it out again at some other point, maybe in that January period, or maybe even touch on it over the World Cup. You never know. We might have a bit more sanity about us. I said Spurs do have a good way of trying to turn you insane. That is one thing I know about this club. They have a major way of trying to turn you insane.
100%.
And I'm gonna, as you said, I love this club, but it don't do well for your health at times. It really doesn't do well for your health.
What you mentioned, the World Cup, you know what we should do, yeah? We've done an Ask Sid. We've done a Sid Says. We should do a Sid Scouts.
Scouts.
Yeah, let's do one for the World Cup. Let's scout. Let's do some scouting in the World Cup.
Let me ask you on the quick one. Do you want to plug the women's program you've got coming up soon?
Yeah, next Tuesday, the 15th, I've organised to do a one-off with the N17 women podcasters who are quite keen to try and encourage us to support the women's team who are on the cusp of something, we should say, and why we as Spurs fans need to embrace all parts of the club, from the youth team, from the schoolboys to the women's team as well. So, and they'll bring some fire to it, no doubt. I listen to their podcast regularly, and I thoroughly recommend it. N17 Women on various platforms, but that's next Tuesday. Tune in if you can.
Can I be on it?
That'll be good. And Sean, because of this weather condition at the moment, can you ask them to set fire to the rain as well?
I'll see what I can do on that front.
No, I think that last bit about the weekend, I don't see him playing a weekend. I don't see him playing a whole load of kids. I don't see him.
No.
I think there might be a couple of.
He's binned off the press conference.
Yeah, but
I'll say no more.
He can't play kids in this one.
No,
there's no way. We can't. We have to win this game.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, we have to win it. And I can see him playing a few players that we haven't seen, like the likes of Tanganga, the likes of Sanchez. I'm praying I can see a Spence start. maybe even Forster in goal start.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Is there a preview tomorrow night?
Do you want to? I don't know. Are we just going? I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know, because what can you preview with that? We ain't got a clue.
Well, one thing we'll know who did the press conference.
True, that's true. But who is he going to pick? We really don't know what that team is. Forest is guaranteed.
Listen to the Athletics podcast.
I'm going to listen.
It's a very interesting last bit of the conversation in their podcast.
It'll be interesting, but I think I'm with you, Sam. I think certain players will get a run out tomorrow. I think Spence, Gill, Tanganga. I think Sanchez. I think Forster will start in goal. I think Alfie Devine or Harvey White might get a shout as well tomorrow on Tuesday. But
the trouble is the under-21s are playing tonight, or have been playing tonight.
Unless they're not playing, they won't play tomorrow. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, on Wednesday, because you don't play 2 games within 48 hours. Well, you can, but it's not advised, and that's only an emergency, and they won't do that. That's not something they'll do. What was I thinking of? There was something I was just gonna. It's just gone from my head now. It has gone, but it doesn't matter.
Forster in goal.
why not?
Has to be. I'd rather see him than see Lloris. I think we need to see this guy. No, that's what I was going to say about Forest. I think Forest are guaranteed not to be playing the same 11 that played at the weekend. They're going to make complete changes. I think they'll play it because they've got a massive squad anyway, but they're not at the same level. But I can see them wholesale throughout 1 to 11, because this ain't about this. This ain't their life for them. Carabao Cup is not their life. They want to stay in the Premier League, and if it means this is just a game to them, that's how I see it. And if they were to win, they're not going to win this trophy. We have a good chance of winning this trophy, in my opinion. Forest won't win it. I can almost guarantee you that if they beat us, which they won't, by the way. Famous last words, obviously.
I think we need a preview show, Sam.
I can see both your faces doing this. We said it live. He said that. Now I'm saying it with my chest. We ain't losing that game. We are not. Sid, sure. Thanks very much. We can decide on the preview show between us. I don't know, man. I just want to win. I just want to win. I want to win on Wednesday. I want to win on Sunday and go into the World Cup.
We need a preview show. It's a domestic trophy, for God's sake.
Well, it's one of you lot then, isn't it? I'm not the domestic king. It's Darius or Sid or yourself. I'm just on the...
After the way I did the review show at the weekend?
Don't worry about that, man.
That was a scandal.
Don't worry about that.
I really let you down, boys.
No,
but my mic's now working, so I noticed that my Champions League draw today, I was getting sound issues. When I heard it back, I could hear the traffic. The mic was working so well.
Have you seen the fix things with the Man United draw for your?
Yeah. That's horrible for them, man. I wouldn't want to play them. Oh, here we go. Putting pressure on. Pressure's being applied. Come on.
Pressure.
There are customers.
I'll be on them. Oh, come on. But I want to be a guest. I like being a guest sometimes. It's good to guest. What?
I'm the Champions League man, so I can't be the Carabao man as well. Come on. Let's see. Let's see.
Do me some slides for next Tuesday, and we'll see.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. What's happening next Tuesday?
Oh God, your memory, Sid. I've just been talking about it. The N17 women podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Dear. And I'm the old one here.
I know.
He disagrees. He said, "I know." I was going to say, "Well, I'm old as well." But listen to this. He's on here. Yeah, I know.
I know I've been old. I know as in I forgot. You just mentioned it.
I'm stirring. I like stirring. I like a bit of stirring there.
Anyway, guys, do you know what? This is therapy.
This is good therapy.
We weren't too bad yesterday.
No,
that's good.
No.
Have you updated the table for the?
I'm not updating the table.
Hold on a second.
Sunday.
I still said Kane would score.
Yeah, but you don't get anything for goal scorers. You get.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. You get a point for a goal scorer.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I wouldn't have cheated you out of your points, Sid, but I know you got to. You keep saying it. That's the third time you said it today. You got it right. All right.
No, do you know what? I got it right for the wrong reasons. But anyway.
As I said, I thought my 3-2 was going to come through. Anyway, that's it. David Clark said, in the Champions draw, you look like you was. He was a hostage. What was you wearing? What was you wearing? It was the hoodie, wasn't it? The dressing gown.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but that's because I'm so tight. I don't want to switch my heating on.
Don't blame
So
you.
he looked like a hostage in his own house.
Yeah, holding myself. Yeah, holding a gun to my own head.
David. Quality. Thank you, David, for that. You've brightened up my evening. I started off a little bit, but like you said, I think we do this therapy session. We look at a bigger picture. We look at there's always things that we can do. There's always things as fans that we can do. We can't influence the team, but we can influence how they you can influence a team. Yeah, of course you can. What am I talking about? Of course you can influence a team, and the way you do that is by supporting them. That's what we're called, supporters. You know.
Can I thank David for watching the stream? He is one of the 100 people who've watched that stream today.
David
which I conceived 15 minutes before the draw took place. So it's pretty good going.
David's going in. He was a nervous wreck. Stop that. He wasn't. He had the dressing gown on. That's what it was.
I was a nervous wreck. Yeah. I still didn't get the outro music. Oh, listen, God! One day. The amount of things I've done in my time doing this, you just got to ride with it, man. Like even tonight, I started and there's me in the background doing this. Oops. You know what I mean? So it's what it is. Yeah, but people love your smiling face, Sam. So you're all right. I obviously look like a hostage in I don't know, the Lebanese civil war or something. You know, I'll chain myself to the radiator to give it a bit more kudos next time.
I feel better already, gentlemen. Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Sean. It's been a good one. It's been longer than I wanted to be, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to do it, don't you? You just have to do it. Right, gents. We'll decide about this preview show for tomorrow, possibly, but we're going to do something on the reaction show. 100%. We've got to react because it's going to be a victory. As I said, you can click that up. Arsenal mans, anyone, you can click that up. Yeah, Sean, Sid. Come on, you Spurs, I guess. Come on,
you Spurs.
Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe to their channel. Come on, you Spurs.
It's just different.